or plums or apricots, but I ate a lot of peaches.
Well, what are the plums you have? Are they like, I love the Italian ones. Oh,
These are, I forgot the name.
are they red plum, black plum?
Purple.
Oh, for the, so when you bite into them, they're soft.
It's green on the inside
Oh, green
Oh.
ones.
and purple.
Yes.
But are they
And-
the oval ones?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, those are the
I like
Italian
you
ones.
to
I
start
love
the meeting.
those.
and the porcupine cleaned me out this year. I had 100 plums and I went down to
But
zero.
this is the.
Oh, direct?
Oh,
He was asleep in the plum tree when I found him.
No, he wasn't. You can't make that up.
He was, I think he was drunk.
Where's that?
Yeah, I planted some of those, 2 of those,
Container down
And two
below
sour
there,
cherries.
hiding in there.
and my sheep ate them.
Actually, no, the
Oh, the
both.
porcupine chews my cherry trees
But they
down.
like the
Yeah.
I'm
demo.
gonna cut the cherry trees down.
Is,
They like the
Hey,
demo.
George.
I think it's nice.
It's like a nice little.
no, she has.
Want me to start the meeting?
She has submitted.
Is it time, yeah, to start the meeting?
Oh, no.
5:59.
Okay.
5:59.
Someday they'll be in there when it goes
I'm
out.
gonna tweak the, it's in the
Yeah.
drawer.
Don't pack them a mattress.
We're gonna do a memo to file.
It being 6 o'clock,
Just doc-
I'm gonna call the meeting to order.
Did we get this started here?
I think so.
I haven't heard who
Jim
yet.
and Maureen, can you hear?
No, they can't, because it's not plugged in.
Hold on.
Oh, no wonder it didn't hoot.
You're gonna have to restart that.
Oh, we
Oh,
started.
good, you can
He
hear
says they're
us,
good.
we can hear you.
Oh, it's not on, I guess it's just through the computer, but here goes the, thank you.
There we go.
Okay, all right.
Okay, now, at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna start the select board meeting on September 5th, 2024. Changes and additions to the agenda. We have an intent to cut map 211, lot 32 and 33. We have a revised report of cut timber tax yield for map 207, lot 46. We have a timber tax yield, map 215, lot 41. And we have a non-public under RSA 91-A:32A at the end of the meeting. In new business, we have a department head report from our recreation department, Emily Burney.
Hi. Oh, I'm just going to throw up
I'm
this.
just practicing.
There we go. Okay, that should just kind of play. I just did a little slideshow kind of recapping the summer for you guys. It's only 3 minutes long, but yeah, 4th of July was, I thought, a great success. We were so lucky with the weather and the turnout was awesome. I received multiple comments that the parade was kind of the beefiest we've had in a few years, which was nice. Our summer enrichment program, we were able to do 2 weeks of that this summer, which kind of bookended the Bear Camp Center Camp, which I think parents appreciated. The idea of TSEP is that we stay in Tamworth, we visit our local nonprofits, so Bear Camp Bikes came, Kids Advantage Tennis came, we did some art projects, we did sports every day, so one day we did soccer, one day we did kickball, we did tennis. We visited the Shakora Library. They were great. They had a lot of different sections for us because TSEP, I can take 40 kids. I was actually able to squeeze in 50 for the first week in June. So we were able to kind of break up stations. The Barnstormers we were able to visit. We got a tour behind the stage. We also got to do an acting class, which was awesome.
Best part.
Cook Memorial Library hosted us. We had a story hour. We did a little scavenger hunt. Oh, I don't know where that stopped.
Winter in the middle of July.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
Bummer.
well, it's coming.
Oh my god.
Whoa,
I
we got
know,
Dana.
you gotta be able to see them.
Oh, was that Dana doing a cartwheel?
Yes, hold on, all right, here we go, okay. Let's see if this fixes it. Yep, so Cook Memorial Library, we did a little scavenger hunt right along Main Street. The CLC also hosted us one day down at Shakora Lake. This was my first time letting 50 kids go in the water, but they did it.
Didn't listen.
We didn't lose any. Our department heads came down and we did touch a truck where the kids got to explore fire trucks, the police car, and Dana showed off a little bit, using cartwheels. So it was just, TSEP was really well attended and I thought it went really smoothly.
That's awesome.
We were also able to do 6 weeks of swim lessons, which partnered with the Bear Camp Center camp, which was honestly like seamless. I had the van, access to the van, so I was able to pick kids up 10 at a time, take them to the pond. It was super quiet. We had nobody there, no parking issues, no coordinating with parents, no fee, which was huge, and really able to give like one-on-one attention to the kids. And then we did our Friday field trips, which these kids, that's always well attended. Anywhere from 30 to 50 kids come every Friday. And we just do some amusement parks and we do some educational things too. We were able to go to the zoo. We were able to go to Storyland. We were able to go to Swan Lake Science Center. So a lot of kids were able to get out and do some things like ride a cannon. So it was just a great summer.
Oh, that's a nice shot.
Yeah. Fair yell and go outside. So yeah, this summer I thought went pretty great. And now gearing up for fall time, I've got soccer registrations posted. I've got 25 kids already signed up for soccer. We're doing K through 6, Mondays and Thursdays, 3:30 to 5. I dismiss the kids from the school. Parents pick up at 5. And next week I have my meeting with all the other rec directors in the county, so that's when we really schedule our games and nail that down. I'll likely also be doing, like I did last fall, after school activity one day a week, like Lego Club. We did that at the library, that was well attended. So that's all the kids stuff, and then adult things. Pickleball is year round, so we're working on getting the pickleball crew into the gym for when it gets colder in October. We've got to line the gym floor again. I'm going to be doing one more tennis clinic, probably 4 weeks of tennis before it gets too cold and we have to shut down the courts. What else is going on for adults? Oh, and this is new. We're starting a ladies soccer, like pickup game soccer league. That'll be on Thursday evenings. So
At the rec field?
yeah, at the rec field. So yeah, it's been busy. All things.
Super busy.
Yeah, it's good.
Question about the swim,
To the zoo.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everybody-
question about the swim program. You said no fee, because there is a fee using the state park?
Yes, White Lake charges us parking. Full price, which, I mean, it's affordable for going once a day, but if you think about these parents who have to go 4 days a week for 4 to 6 weeks, it adds up. So for like a half-hour swim lesson, it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
So that's a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But we were still able to do it. I budgeted for that. So we had, I think, it was 3 sessions. We were able to take about 10 kids per session. That's the other thing that's a little bit of a bummer is, you know, you plan for 10 kids, you budget for 10 kids, and you pay for 10 kids, and then when only 5 show up, I don't really, so one thing to think about next year is I might actually take more than I, open it up to more than 10 kids knowing that half won't show up half the time, so. But that's a risky game because if they all do show up and you only have 3 swim instructors, so it's just the nature of the beast.
And the instructors worked well this summer? Because you had some new instructors, right?
Yeah, we had 2, Rose was returning,
Okay.
but we had 2 new instructors and it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, they definitely have their different strengths too. Like there's some instructors that the little ones who just need to have that excitement to get in the water and feel comfortable, gravitate towards Rose, absolutely. And then, Carrie Ann is really great with the older kids, more of like instruction, more instruction, more challenging, more of like a coach. So, yeah, the kids at the Bear Camp Center that had their Monday through Thursday swim 6 days a week, like we saw like huge progression with their swimming, so it was a success.
It was a great program, my kids loved it.
Yeah, great.
Hazel got that extra special attention about swimming, and Carrie Ann did a great job of identifying that and just made her feel super confident in her ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was great. The parking situation worked out wonderful with the parking passage you laminated. I thought it was a really well-run
Is
program.
that at Bear Camp?
Thank you.
That was at
White
Whiteley.
Lake.
Oh, that was at White Lake.
Yeah. But, thank you.
Yeah, how many kids do you think total got swimming lessons this year? From Sandwich and, from Tamworth and not?
So through the Bear Camp Center, we were able to take, and I mean, it was pretty maxed out, every session was 10 kids per session, 2 sessions per day. So 20 kids, and actually I wish I had known those numbers, 20 kids a
Times
day
6,
for
yeah.
6 weeks. But some of them, you know, some kids were only enrolled in camp for 2 weeks. Some were enrolled for all 6 weeks. Some were only enrolled for a week, so it's a little, I would have to do the numbers, but.
And then you had,
And then in the evening, we were able to take 30 kids.
yeah, that's a lot of kids.
So-
That's great. With
So
the
around
evening.
50 kids a day were getting lessons.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah, it was good. Mhm.
Did you get any feedback from Sandwich about using, like at the end of the season, about using Bear Camp Pond?
I chatted with their Director Oli, and he was just thrilled that it was working out because some Sandwich kids were also getting swim lessons,
Right.
which lessens the burden on his swim program.
Right.
Yeah, and there was no complaints. Like I said, every morning we went from 9 to 11, there was nobody there anyway, so it was no inconvenience with parking or anything like that, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Emily while she's here?
Fantastic, that was
Yeah,
a
thank
great
you.
summer.
Oh, good,
Thanks.
thank you.
Take a day off if you want.
I did that today, actually, it was nice, but thank you.
Yeah, go celebrate your birthday.
I know.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Moving on to the transfer station supervisor with Brian Gillespie.
Yeah, everything's going really well. You know, there's been a few hiccups here and there, being that I was new to it. But I had, you know, Rick and Rich Roberts that I could reach out to. And, you know, they'd either walk me through it or in some cases, Rick showed up. Because Jay had a previous engagement for yesterday, so he wasn't there. All the equipment's running well, you know. You know, I think the biggest thing for me was just trying to create a more positive experience for people based on when I first started and hearing kind of the consistent complaints. And I think we've done that, you know, now we're trying to maintain that. The town people are phenomenal. Every day we hear something. And, something positive, you know, so they seem to be having an experience that's good for them. And let's see. But overall, I think everything's running really well. There's room for improvement with everything. It could be a little bit cleaner, it could be this. We do have to address a couple issues with the MSW containers. They got holes in them, so all 3 of them have holes in them. So they, you know, they leak, which leads to a sludge river in the back, you know, parking lot or whatever. So one at a time, probably over the next 4 or 5 weeks, I'll have them come in well, fix one, and move forward from there. But yeah, it's been slow the last probably week and a half. It's been really, it was only 75 people came in yesterday, so it was really, really slow. But again, it's just everybody seems to, you know, we get tons of cookies, which is a great thing. And everybody seems to be, you know, happy. And we don't just talk to the happy ones, we talk to everybody. And try to solicit some advice or, you know, things that they see. And everybody knows that big plans are coming. So there's no, you know, we're not going to change the traffic pattern right now because, you know, they may start breaking ground in a month or whatever. And I think, you know, there seems to be at least a lot of excitement about it from almost everybody. You got, you know, the handful of people that complain all the time, but they're gonna do that anyway.
Yeah.
And, I would like to say though, I think, I think it might be time to have a conversation about charging to chip brush.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we're averaging like 11 hours a month, which is, so that's 22 man hours. Not, you know, crazy amount, but that's a lot of wear and tear on a chipper that's already, you know, old.
Is that averaging per week?
No, that would be a month. But then I'll go in tomorrow and probably be chipping for an hour and a half, because we were man down yesterday, so I couldn't do it. But I feel pretty comfortable with people understand that. You know, they know it's not a, you know, money grab, it's to kind of stop the bleeding as far as, if the,
Right.
you know, the chipper doesn't run on air.
Yeah.
You know, if two of us are over there chipping, then, you know, that's two less people to help them, you know, which slows everything down, which causes the traffic, which causes frustration, and then boom, you know, you're right back to the beginning. So just something I would recommend you charging, you know.
Do you have an idea of how you want to do that?
We've been talking about that in
Well, I mean, realistically, you know, there's 10 tree companies within 5 miles of here. And they're not gonna show up at your house for less than $150. So I think if you charge $10 for, say, you know, the average pile that comes in, I don't think anybody would really have a problem with that. You know, it would probably be a lot more like the minimum that we do for the demo, which is $5, you know? And you figure, you know, by the end of the month, it will have paid for the diesel and start, you know, taking care of the cost of maintaining it.
Do most people come with brush, like a trailer load of it, or a couple things in the back of it?
I'd say half and half. You know, the ones who come with a trailer, they're there to get their money's worth. They come with a lot of brush.
Yeah.
But it's usually just pickup trucks.
We did talk at the last meeting when we were processing a conversation about transfer station equipment, about if and when a scale is installed, using that for brush.
And that way it'd be per pound. And my thought has been for a while now, either we don't chip brush anymore or we charge for it. And the only way I could think of charging for it was, once you have a scale, you charge for it just like bulky waste and C&D. But, you know, we could start at any time to do that, as you suggested, just like with C&D, it's just eyeball it. And, you know, a trailer load is $20 or something.
Right.
And a pickup truck load is $10.
So with all the, sorry.
Maybe start with a soft blow
Yeah.
Yeah.
to people, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And maybe have like a couple weeks of advertising
Yeah.
that we're gonna start charging.
So you have a massive amount of early.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Yeah,
Amy's
no, that's
Carol,
not what
that's-
it's
yeah.
If you show up
if you-
with brush and you don't bring your wallet,
yeah, if you show up like, oh, I'm gonna go get rid of some brush for free at the transfer station, you're like, oh, hey, it's $20.
Yeah.
It might not be a big deal to most people, but there's
Yeah.
gotta be people that I'm sure will be, and there's, like you said, there's always gonna be unhappy people, so it doesn't make a difference what you do.
There will be people who don't even bring brush that will complain that we're charging brush. So that's just, it seems to be human nature.
Yeah.
I really don't think, I agree with you. I think you should give them a heads up. I'll start telling people, you know, it's
Well,
coming.
But do
we could
we,
even
You have
put
to
a
have a
slide.
public hearing.
I was gonna say, what's the
Oh.
quest, remember all the rules around changing
Any changes to the fees we
to
need
the
a public
fees?
So we can do that.
hearing.
Maybe schedule one for the,
Well,
Fall.
it's 2 weeks notice, I think. I have to check if it's 7 days.
okay, so for the
That's
2
just-
meetings from now even,
Yeah,
and then
Yeah.
we'll maybe give 2 weeks.
Grace period.
Yeah. Or something.
once
Just
the
just to-
once the hearing approves
By
it.
November 1st.
Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
everybody will kind of circulate
Yeah.
through,
Do we
make a nice
know,
big sign.
Estimated per yard.
do we know what other towns do with brush? As far as charging?
Some burn,
And Moultonboro burns.
yeah, Brady burn.
Do they charge to get rid
I
of any
think-
of it?
No, not that I'm aware of. But they're also, the ones that don't charge, they don't have chippers. So they either burn it or,
Is there any towns that do charge that you know of?
not that I know of, no.
Yeah, because didn't we hear that Ospey just,
They make a giant pile and they hire somebody to come and grind it and take it away.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It's
Do you
for
think you could-
$1,500.
It was either 1,500 or 15,000, the
I think
zero was
1,500.
lost on me. Because it seems silly that would be $1,500. You can't cut a couple trees down for that, so I,
Yeah, they might,
That's true.
they do get like the chips out of it, so maybe they charge for the mobilization, which is 1,500, and then it's worth their time to
bring
get
it to
the,
burn it.
maybe.
Yeah.
Brian,
But
do
we
you think
could-
you could, sorry, go ahead.
We should, I'll poke around and see who else charges before the public hearing.
I think you could put together some volumetric calculations that would make sense. You know,
Yeah.
if we have just kind of a rule of thumb, I think it'd be better to have.
Absolutely, absolutely, I could do that.
So that public hearing would be on October 3rd.
And then once we get a scale, we
October
could
3rd.
kind of figure out at that point what makes sense to charge weight-wise. Obviously,
So it doesn't
it can
change.
vary,
Yeah.
but you gotta have kind of a set fee weight-wise if it's to that point, which might be minimal still, but, you know, it'll help, so.
Because I've always wondered how much brush weighs. Most of what you see in the pile is air, so maybe it's not that heavy.
It's probably not that heavy unless you have like, you know, some small logs and stuff mixed in,
Yeah.
and then that would probably start to weigh up.
And oak is gonna weigh more than pine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right,
The one thing that we heard,
Dry.
and I'll be reporting on that later, one thing we heard yesterday in Ashland was about the scale, and the same thing goes with chipping, is if you don't charge for C&D or bulky waste, then all the taxpayers are paying for it. But if you have a scale, then the users are paying for it. And I hadn't thought of it that way, but I like that, and the same thing with the chipper. If we're chipping brush, the people who need to have their brush chipped should be the one paying for it, not everybody.
Well, and especially because we've been hearing kind of consistently that there are small businesses who are using that service, that free service, as part of their business model.
Sure.
And,
If I was a tree company in Tamworth, I'd do it.
well, why wouldn't you?
I don't think you want all our brush.
Um,
We could become a
I've heard that too, I haven't
Easier
seen
to
anything
do.
like that in Tamworth. It's usually a husband and wife bringing stuff in. So, I know most of it, I did tree work for a long time, so I'd recognize them if they came and
Yeah.
tried that. Yeah. It really is just usually the homeowners, you know, still cleaning up from the winter that, you
Yeah.
know, we had.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for?
Did you want to get permission to have a Facebook?
Oh, yeah. So, so just like kind of part of community building, we wanted to do like a Facebook page. It would be basically dogs at the dump. So I would take pictures of all the dogs that come through. People are hounding me, no pun intended, to get it going and to at least come and see what you thought. It's really just posting pictures of their dogs. They find it, they name it, and then we continue the process.
My dog's nickname literally is Trash Puppy.
Oh, there you go.
And it's-
So,
and it's
I'll
a
bring him right
well-named
along.
dog, yeah, that's it.
He's, I mean, he'll eat glass. He'll eat the brush for you. Yeah.
Now, do I take pictures of my dog and send them to you, or do you take
You know,
pictures
they have
when
to
we're
be at the
driving
dump.
through?
I will take a picture
Oh,
of
okay.
them while they're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zoe loves her dump runs.
Yeah.
Especially because she gets that treat from you.
Treat, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. Well, that's what started it all. Is there's dogs that now recognize me. I hear their bark as they pull in.
Oh my God.
So it's.
Yeah, you cut me off the other day. Wait, I gotta go say hi to Lassie or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't take a
She's a special one. She goes
I know.
crazy if I don't come say hi. So.
I don't have my policies are in the other book, but what's the policy?
Yeah.
You can have a
Social
Facebook-
media policy?
You can have a Facebook or Instagram page if the select board has approved it. He has to check it very frequently to make sure there's no inappropriate content or whatever, and take that down if there is.
Oh, okay. I think that's a great idea.
Now, would you, in the future, maybe use it to give notices to people about business at the transfer station, or is it just dogs at the dump?
I mean, I hadn't really thought that far down the street. Honestly, though, I would probably keep it separate.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know that you need to
Yeah.
mix
Yeah.
this. It's more of just a positive energy community stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll tell them in person that we're charging. So.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like I think separate's clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have to give do we have to have a motion? I make a motion to approve a Facebook page for Dogs at the Dump.
Second. We'll stick with Steve.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Do you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prince, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
All right, click away.
So one thing I
Carriers
wanted
is
to
interesting.
convey to you, Brian, is
Carriers is
a
interesting.
neighbor of mine has recently had 2 knee replacements, so she has trouble just dealing with her trash and getting out of the car. And Ernesto's been helping her out, and Ernesto actually offered to come to her house and get her trash and bring
Oh
it to
my
the
gosh.
transfer
Oh, wow.
station. So I just wanted you to know that,
Yep.
and he's a sweetheart, and we're lucky to have him.
And,
And we should not encourage him to go to people's
No,
houses and
right.
pick up their houses.
Right.
But thank you for the.
But it's a nice offer.
It's it's a lovely offer.
Jay made the offer to a woman the other day as well, because she didn't have a vehicle big enough to take some stuff.
Yeah,
So they both do that a lot. So
yeah, it's gonna be.
it's a good environment for that.
I mentioned it last week, but I wanted to mention it again while you're here. I appreciate the initiative that you've taken with tearing apart some of the electronics and getting some extra revenue from that, and how Jay's been really efficient. It told me he can rip them apart in seconds now.
Yeah, it seemed like it was an experiment worth checking.
Yep.
You know, and I think over the course of time, definitely. You know, the dollar amount was minimal, $600. But if you
Well-
factor in that we don't have to pay to have the stuff we took apart, it starts to go up.
Yeah.
And it's also, it happens on days like yesterday where there was nobody there.
When there's downtime.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half without a single car.
Right.
You know, and Jay would probably have 5 or 6 things taken apart and ready to go, so,
That's great,
yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah,
That
he's doing
initiative
great.
is wonderful.
Pardon?
The initiative that we've been
Yeah.
seeing is wonderful.
Do you think it's 600 a month? Or is it
It
a
was
couple
just,
months
it
worth?
was, that's a tough one. I'd say probably a couple of months worth, you know?
Cool.
But there's probably, if we were to do it again, there's probably another 600 waiting to go to Rikers.
Cool. Yeah.
We're close. But we also get metal too, so the metal goes up because stuff that we would be paying somebody to take away, we take apart, so now the metal, so the metal goes up, you know, recycle goes up. The demo goes up too, because now we got plastic we gotta throw away, so it goes up all around, but I think it balances out.
Any other questions for Brian?
I was gonna ask you if there's anything else you wanted to give input on regarding the improvements of the bathroom or.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I just, you know, my only focus was really to try to make it so that it was as good of an experience for people. And I don't know how, or what you're hearing on your end, but we seem to be hearing it a lot. It seems to be consistent. So now it's just, you know, now we want to go and see what happens with all the plans and stuff. You know, thinking about things that we may or may not need. You know, not based on what I want, but based on, you know, does this change the experience for them in a positive or negative way? You know, and if it's negative, is it really worth it? You know, if it's positive, is it too much money, you know? So, again, there's different things. You know, but the bathroom, I know everybody voted on it, and it's gonna happen, and if I was here, being totally honest, I don't care about the bathroom. I just want running water so we can power wash everything and,
Yeah.
you know, take care of stuff, so, you know, I just think of things differently. I don't look at it as something as, is this gonna benefit me? I look at it, is this gonna benefit the job? You know, and how does it benefit? You know what I mean, on paper, okay, but in reality, does it, you know? So that's kind of what I'm focused on, I'm still, you know, trying to work it through.
You had mentioned to me that a lot of the townsfolk are looking forward to the bathroom, but
Yeah,
So you had news.
yeah, and that was news to me too. I thought it was, based on what I was hearing, I thought that it was a
Wait,
public
what?
restroom.
yeah, there's
And it was a public bathroom.
many people thinking that the bathroom was for anyone in the town to come to use the transfer station, not just for the transfer station employees.
Just
I
Stay
guess we
out.
could clarify that.
And I don't think
Time things on
we
the
ever
door.
have.
That was, yeah, it was.
No, I don't think we ever have, but I just assumptions, cause
Right.
issues, I
You
guess.
never know what people think of. It's required by law for the employees to have
Yes,
a bathroom,
right.
not for the public.
Right.
Well, have
They can
have
keep
that
it
Brett School do a nice mural on the door that's, you know, like employees only.
That's what we talked about, having an employees only sign and.
It doesn't even say bathroom.
I was trying to figure out why so many people were so excited.
Yeah.
Like
Don't
I
you
said,
have one at
I
home?
think some of them are excited for you.
Yeah, there's a few
okay.
of them, but there's a few of them that are.
Not that many.
Well, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I was younger, there was a band that used to play around the Mount Washington Valley called Lunch at the Dump.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Maybe
that.
we should set up a cafe.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy, okay.
And Brian, to answer your question, I have heard lots of things from people all over with positive changes, even the little things of updated lettering on the plow and
Yeah.
signage
Yeah.
has been
Yeah.
updated. It's,
A lot of that credit belongs to Rick.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and take credit for that.
fair enough. It's still been noticed. And
Yeah, and even the recycling, I did the actual, the initial let's do it, but that was also Rick's idea. He had been trying to get, previous people to do it. It just didn't seem like it was worth it for him, so. And it looks like it's gonna be, so.
Yeah.
I did have one question on the MSW
Yes.
cans you were talking about. Do you think it's worth to repair them, or should we look at replacing them, going and trading them in, changing our contract with Waste Management where we use their cans instead of ours?
It may turn out that, like, one of them just needs to just be welded,
Okay.
it'll be fine. One of them, that might be a better alternative. I was gonna let, Mark, who welds, really look at it, because it's full right now, we gotta wait for it to come back. I guess the easy answer would be, oh, just replace it, but I don't, necessarily think we need to.
Okay.
And we should find out what it would cost if we're renting theirs all year. I have no idea what that would cost.
Some of the ones out back, my understanding is the floors are completely rotted through and they're not usable at all.
There's one one is out of commission, can't use it for anything. The rest seem pretty decent.
So maybe we can at least get rid of that one or
Oh, yeah, fill it with metal, take it all the rings.
Take the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think with Waste Management, I'm wondering, because we'd still be the ones handling the containers, right, moving them around. So like if you were to damage one, like put a hole in it, like how do they charge to fix that?
Well, that's
right?
an
They're making
interesting-
money all the way around, is kind of my feeling. So we gotta be, I think we want to be careful too, look at the fine print.
My understanding is the contract is for Waste Management to move the containers, at least the MSW container in and out. And if we had two compactors, we wouldn't have to do that, which would be less load, wear and tear on the loader, and less concern of us damaging the containers. And when Waste Management has damaged our containers, instead of them returning back something that's not our container, that's in the past, I don't know if you've experienced this, but we've sent out one large size, they damage it, we need to fix it or don't, and we have to fight with that, and then we get a smaller size in return, so it's harder to work out the rotation of the containers. Anyway, something to think about when we're talking about improvements.
It's, and the not switching part is like huge difference on the tractor.
Yeah.
That tractor's been doing something it wasn't designed to do.
Yeah.
Pulled 15 tons backwards. So that in and of itself is worth it.
Yep.
Just to save that.
Well, do we have any other questions while Brian's here?
Thank you so much.
No, great work.
Thank you for
What
coming.
did it say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could request taking the next two out of order, because they need to be shorter and it relates to the transfer station, so the transfer station update.
Okay.
Look at my
So
notes
this
here.
is your select board update out of
No.
order?
No, update on transfer
Old
station.
Oh, whole
business.
business, okay.
Yeah, before you,
So, our last meeting was August 22nd. I wrote down some dates because I always get confused. We had an on-site meeting on the 20th. I think Steve and Willie and I were there with Sanborn Head and their architect to start the design process for the bathroom. I think that happened on the 20th. Then we had our select board meeting, so I think we mentioned that at the select board meeting. Last Thursday, we met on site with a scale representative, and I think it was Carl and Willie who were there. Tony Lewis from Northeast Scales in Hooksett. Because there's two scale companies within 100 miles, and he was the second one. And he has some different products that Maine Scales didn't have, so it was, if we get to the point where we're gonna seek bids for a scale, we would send that request for bids to both. So let's meet with both of them. So it was very informative. Other than having slightly a different product line, he has one that's a Canadian that he likes. The other one was a company from Oregon or something that main scale is prefers. Tony did indicate that the Canadian product's a little cheaper just because it's a shorter distance to have it shipped, so you save a few $1,000s just getting it here. So one thing we need to check on is, are there very strict Buy America rules as part of our USDA grant to make sure, can we buy that Canadian one if we wanted to? It's just good knowing. Each federal agency is different with their Buy America, but particularly with steel, there's usually a high percentage of steel in most projects. I don't know if the USDA cares, but we need to ask them, and they've been unresponsive to at least a couple of emails that,
I don't know if they're on vacation or, but yeah.
I think there's been at least 2 emails that have gone, we haven't heard back. And I've had some back and forth with Tony on details. He did send a price estimate, but like with everything, it doesn't include, trenching to get the power there, and it doesn't include some site work. So, but the total cost was around a little over $100,000, including the concrete work. So I don't think the price is much different between the two. And again, you never really know what the price is till you bid it out and see what the prices are. One thing that we need to think about is, at our last meeting, we did approve a design and bidding out a recycling building and the scale. We talked a little about this last time. It does make a lot more sense to build the building first, because you can't have the whole site torn up. It's already going to be torn up with the bathroom first, probably. And then if we get to the point where we agree to a recycling building, once we see the prices, that will probably come next, because the scale needs to be tied into that to get its power. Well, it's got a power stand right next to it, but the scale needs to talk to the building, because the indicator of what the weight is and what the price is will be displayed on the building. So we need to figure out how long would a scale company hold their bids. If you bid it out in December, but you don't build it till next August, I don't know if they'll hold a bid that long. So that's the last question I didn't hear back from Tony yet. So there's still some data on, how is the sequence going to work? What's the extra work that we need to do outside of what you get from the scale company? Some kind of site work would probably be extra to whatever price you get from them. So last Thursday, that same day, we had a call with Sanborn Head. I forget who was there for that. I think Keats was there. Maybe you were there? Okay. To talk about the recycling building and the bathroom. We pretty much told them we'll deal with the scale, because we don't want to give Sanborn Head anything they don't need to do, because it just costs money. And so, since the project is now different than the one we really hired Sanborn Head to do, they need to revise their scope. And of course, I don't really care if they revise the scope. The problem is the fee still good enough? That's all that matters to me. We have about $100,000 and some change left in the Sanborn Head contract, and I'm hoping it's enough to do the new work, but you have no idea until you get the bill. And then we'll have to decide, do we dip into the money that was going to be construction money to do the design work, and that's really the only option we have, other than tell them some things they don't do. So they're revising their scope of work, and we should have a revised scope and fee. I forget when he said. I think it was going to be by the end of this week, maybe, but I forgot.
Was that for the bathroom too?
Yes, that includes the bathroom as well. And I think splitting up the two, the bathroom over here and the building over here, that alone will raise the price a little bit, because it's 2 buildings instead of 1. But we've told them very clearly the bathroom comes first. So they realize that just take your time on the building, the bathroom has to be, we told them that needs to be bid out and under contract by the end of this year.
Scope, fee, and contract amendments would be next week.
Good. So what we did to make sure you were clear, Brian, on what the board voted on was the bathroom, I think, was the prior meeting to design the bathroom and bid it out this year, build it as soon as we can next year. To design and bid out a recycling building where the chip pile is. Right now it's to design a 60 by 60 building. and also to bid out the scale, 40-foot truck scale. We don't really decide on whether we're really gonna build either of those until you bid it out and see if you can afford it. So the final decision comes then.
I think that during the conversations, we've talked about having as much site work and concrete work done locally
Yep,
as possible.
Yep.
Rather than having, like the scale company come in and pour the pad for us.
right. Both scale companies said you'll save some money if we hire somebody else to do the concrete work. And I have the specs already for the concrete work, so we can bid that out. But I don't know how many bidders we get for that kind of thing. But even the base under the scale and the concrete, you need a 10 by 10 concrete level pad off the ends of both ends of the scale. So that will be part of the scale project. Then even after that, then you need the ramps outside of that. And I think both Ospey and Ashland, their public works department did that. But that's another thing either we could do internally or we could bid that out separately to whoever. So that would be, paved ramp leading up to the concrete pad. So you can see there's bits and pieces to it. And it just saves time, but it costs all of us time to break it up and do some of it ourselves. So that makes it a little tricky. The last thing I wanted to talk about is we did have a site visit to Ashland yesterday, the Ashland transfer station. I think it was Willie and I, Ellen, Gabrielle, and Maud were there.
Mine didn't stay long.
Yeah. So Ashland, a little smaller town than us, 2,000 people. They recycle like crazy there. It's amazing. It's mandatory recycling in Ashland, whatever that actually means. It's not like they write you tickets if you throw a beer can in your trash, but it is mandatory. And they have a really high rate of recycling. Mixed paper, cardboard, newspaper is separate. There's money in newspaper, I had no idea. 2 or 3 different kinds of plastic and aluminum and glass. And in a very small site. A tight little site, a small building not in great shape. They have the balers right there, and people actually come in and put the cardboard in the baler. The customers do, the residents. So you've got to have your site, ready for people wandering around in it. But a tight little building. They probably will tear the building down and rebuild it in a few years because it is too small. They built a hoop structure out back to store their bales, and it is wall-to-wall bales.
Yeah.
Paper, cardboard, plastic. The aluminum bales they store outside, which is not a good idea, but that's where they do it because they don't have enough space.
The hoops on a pad?
Yep, concrete pad. Cost $100,000.
How many employees did they have? Because I know that was a question.
1 full-time, 2 part-time.
Okay.
And their full-time person, she's the best thing they have going for her. She runs the show and came certified before and really knew what she was doing. And what it comes down to, we've heard this from other people, is recycling works if the people working there want it to work. And they really do. And they like working there. And just like our experience for our employees is, they want to be there. And that's the kind of place that we want to have, is where people like working there. And the layout is a little weird, so the way you travel in and out on the scale is a little, we'd never design it that way if you could avoid it, but it works. Because once people do it once, they know how it works. And they charge less on their scale than any of the surrounding towns. It's 8 cents a pound and not 10. And it still makes enough money to pay for any maintenance on the scale, and they pay for it in less than a year. And their revenue the first year, because of the scale, went up 186% in the transfer station.
Their
For
fees.
MSW, their C&D.
C&D.
Did you find out anything about the maintenance cost for the balers?
Yeah, it was minimal. A couple of tubes of grease per year. The thing that's the most maintenance is the waste oil heater, which we had heard from Ospey, same deal.
Yeah.
Because some of it's a little contaminated, the waste oil. So you want to check it to make sure that it's not contaminated with water, or you hand it back to people.
Well, but they do take it from the public?
They do. And
Someone, maybe it was from Ospey, saying, really, you should just use your own oil.
Ospey, they don't, because it wasn't worth the maintenance on the heater.
Yeah.
So they just use the town's
Town's fleet.
waste oil.
Yeah.
So it's a decision you need to make, and the way they do it in Ashland is, it gets pumped into one tank, and you can check it to see the level of contamination and
Right.
drain the water off. And then it goes into the tank that actually feeds the heater. So it takes a little effort to look for the water.
What kind of waste oil is it, from cars?
Yeah.
Cars and trucks.
Cars and trucks.
And I think people store it badly, and the bucket gets rained on and water gets in it. I guess that's how the water gets
I think that, like, I'm pretty sure like antifreeze can contaminate it too, if people
Yeah.
like put antifreeze into their waste
Yeah.
oil.
Oh, yeah.
Use water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's certainly a story we've heard a couple times. I think it still makes sense to have a waste oil heater in the recycling building. The decision is, do you take it from the public or not? And certainly nobody's made that decision yet, but we want to find a very simple, easy way to check for contamination before we accepted it from anybody else. So it was a very informative visit. I think what makes sense is for us to invite Brian and maybe the whole staff along at some point to do a field trip to a few facilities so they can just, and they've all wanted us to come visit. You know, everybody says, oh, come on back. To figure out what are the best ones that, you know, you and your guys would benefit from seeing how things are done elsewhere. And you know, I'm sure the part-time guys wouldn't mind another day of pay to drive around and visit somebody else's facility.
He said his total maintenance budget was $3,000. The balers,
Ellen raised her hand.
everything.
Oh, she did?
I don't
Oh,
know.
Ellen has her hand raised. Ellen, you're on mute. Do you want to unmute?
I don't know.
Do I have her on mute? Ask to unmute.
There.
Maybe she's
She
trying
has
to.
it on mute.
Okay,
There.
there you
There you
go.
are.
Thanks. I was just going to make a quick point that one of the really clever, easy ways they involve their community members is they put the amount that they are saving on the signs, like under each, for the plastic bottles, it said revenue earned per ton, and it had a cost that the town was earning.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a clever
Yeah.
idea.
On
Yeah,
every
it
commodity,
is.
the plastic, the cardboard, the paper, the
So
aluminum,
by diverting it,
price per
you're,
ton. No, it's this is the price per ton we get for the stuff you just put in there.
and there's also a savings on not,
Being
on
an
diverting it
empty.
out of the,
The
But at least
Yeah.
that number is a known, that's a known number, the
Yeah.
price per ton. And what Craig said in Ashland is, the conversations that stem from that are fascinating, because a certain percentage of the public, let's face it, thinks that recycling is a scam, and that it all goes into the landfill. And if you show them that, no, we actually are bringing this to somebody and he pays us for it, because there's the price. It generates some interesting
you
conversation.
should do that.
Yeah, I never would have thought of it.
Also had a sign on the MSW, and I think it said $108 a ton is what it cost the town,
Yeah,
which I thought was cheap.
to send it out. Yeah, that is cheap.
Really, you started to say when we were trying to connect with Ellen,
Oh.
$3,000 a year, what?
He budgets $3,000 for the whole facility,
When you,
Maintenance.
Oh, for the whole thing,
maintenance for the whole
Maintenance.
facility.
yeah.
So
So the balers and the
building,
scale,
Balers, wire,
do they have
they've
newer
got a
equipment?
loader. you
no,
know,
the scales were not, the scales,
Yeah,
2018, the balers are not new.
Yeah.
But he said, I think it
skid
was,
steer.
they don't, they have a mini articulating loader.
Oh,
really nice.
So that
Fits inside
includes
trucks.
machine maintenance, everything,
That's his budget.
$3,000?
wow.
So it was much lower than I thought. They take the mini loader and they drive over the glass just to get it, the volume down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they truck it to Littleton. I think they pay, he said it was $30 a ton to deposit it up there, but they crush it up and take it up in a dump truck. And he said they could bring some back if they wanted it.
And they have a metal recycler nearby, just like we do.
Right.
So they make a deal on the metal to the side. Everything else, they use NRA, so they don't have to track the price for the plastic and the paper and the cardboard. And the NRA works the deals, it just comes and gets it.
Yep.
So it's very manageable, which that was my big worry, is how do we track all that?
Right.
That's why we pay NRA, we're a
Right.
member. We've been a member for years, we've never gotten the advantage of that membership. So it was very enlightening to see a small town with not a lot of money and the same amount of staff we have, to do that much recycling is really astounding to me. In a tiny little building.
And they bail when people are there.
Oh, they do?
They don't close down to bail.
Yeah.
If they have slow time, they bail.
Yeah.
What they don't do, they make sure they don't let the bail come out when there's people around,
Sure.
because the thing could like tumble out on you. But they'll run the bailer when people, just have people come up and deal with the cardboard themselves. I never would have thought that was possible. Just don't have the on button too close to the front.
No,
Just
sure,
have it
no,
run
no,
the
Lock out
front.
tag
I'm
on
not
it or
entirely
something.
sure that's a good idea.
Well, I think, unfortunately, the insurance company probably wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
But I think just being able to have people in the building, you just have to organize it so that people come in, drop their stuff and leave. You know? And that was, because other places it's you dropping through openings in the, and they don't see where things goes and it's all kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
But having people right there in the building seeing what's happening, I think that's pretty handy.
Yep.
So that's all I got.
While we're on the transfer station, if I can, I had a couple other questions for the board. Talking with Sam Warnhead about the bathroom specifically, Ron said that they're gonna wanna dig a couple more test pits. And when we discussed this last meeting, I know there was some comments about no more test pits, so.
Yeah.
And they also wanted to do more borings.
Why? Why?
And I think it's not for the bathroom.
Oh.
Was he confusing the two?
Yes,
Yeah, I
because
think
we
it was for the-
talked about that and Willie threw his pencil across the room when he brought up borings.
Okay.
So I think it's, if you look at where the building would go, the further back you go, it's a little muckier back there.
Yeah,
And they said, yeah, we're gonna over-design the concrete unless we get borings. And over-designed concrete costs you more than a day of boring.
okay.
So I said, okay, I couldn't argue with that. He said it's maybe $3,000-4,000 for borings.
Okay,
Because they had some right by the building.
right, that makes sense if we're
Yeah.
moving the site
Yeah.
location. What about the test pits?
Test pits, I guess they wanted test pits or borings and a test pit next to the borings or something. And we said, okay, fine, we have a backhoe. We can dig a hole and your guy can look in the
Like I
hole.
said, so they're making an assumption that we'll have the backhoe and an operator on site for those test pits. Is that something that we can agree, willing to do?
Otherwise, we pay for it. I figure if we have people that can dig a hole, we can dig the hole.
It's just a matter of resource planning and I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah,
When,
they just have to let us
do
know
they
when it
know
would
when they're gonna
happen.
schedule it?
Sometime this fall, the next several weeks.
I think if we had a little heads up, we can definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
Richard at the town, I'm sure we can do that.
Okay.
We've got a backhoe right there at the transfer station.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about an operator,
An
if somebody
operator.
didn't happen to be there,
Yeah.
you know,
I just didn't
whatever.
want to commit to it
Right.
if
Yeah.
it wasn't something we wanted to.
And I guess when you do the borings, they send the sample back to some lab and they tell you if it can, what weight it can hold up. Whereas the test pits is a visual inspection of the aggregate or whatever.
Isn't it redundant?
They
It is.
explained to us that it's not. Willie feels that it is, but the engineers tell me it's not.
When you say boring, isn't that a core sample?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a
With a
certain
visual
weight, it's a
extraction?
certain weighted hammer,
Yeah.
and they register how deep it goes on each stroke, and so it can tell the consistency of the material, and it's like,
Yeah, just,
don't get me
And
wrong.
we've
Send
got
it-
geological survey maps we can
no,
access.
you
Oh,
need to
no,
know,
no.
how is it right in that spot?
Yeah.
USGS survey maps are very
Yeah,
crude.
okay.
If you want to build a building on it, it's not enough.
I suggested that they just dig a hole and see what's there,
Yeah.
instead of doing a test boring, because I figured, for $100, we can afford to dig a hole. But no, we would have to do both, we have to do the other two.
The concrete will probably be well over designed anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll
Trash.
have some pretty crazy footings and walls in there. Yeah, that's
4-foot wide slab.
We were hoping we could talk them out of it, but it was hard to argue with them
Yeah.
when they said, well, it just cost you more for the concrete.
Oh well.
Okay,
Better than
Yeah.
good effort.
You were there trying, that's what counts.
So I think that's it.
Anything else on the transfer station while we're on the topic?
Did you find out about your pumping up your Freon?
No, they don't call back.
Okay.
Thanks for doing the
Yeah.
field trip and getting some answers to questions that came up at the
Yeah.
last meeting.
Thank
It
you.
was enlightening. I was pleased to see it. We have, I think, more space than Ashland has,
Yeah.
and they make it work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long it's gonna work for them, if the population grows significantly, but
Awesome.
Very close to the revenue.
Yeah.
Do they take in contractors from outside of Ashland?
No,
So they're just the residents?
right.
And
And
they're
there are
charged.
some local trash haulers
Mhm.
that are serving customers in Ashland. So they do have some commercial haulers.
And they have to pay $100 for
For
the
their-
sticker,
Right,
plus give a list of who they're picking up in town.
right. To make sure that they're just hauling it from residents.
And if
Oh,
they're
nice.
Oh,
not
interesting.
recycling the way they should, they go across the scale and have to pay per pound.
Yeah. So they have, I think,
Huh.
started threatening, maybe even said to a couple, yeah, you people aren't recycling enough, we're gonna charge that as CMA.
Yep.
They sell, all the stickers are $5 each, nobody gets a free sticker. And they sell them on site. And I think at some point, we have to sell stickers.
Can residents get more than one sticker?
I think you could probably, well, good question. I assume you can get as many as you want if you pay $5 for it, but didn't think of asking that.
Because that's one of the things that's gonna come up when we talk about stickers.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Keats and I have a meeting scheduled in October with Kim to talk about
Good, yeah.
the fee system.
Yep.
Because there's probably gonna be some changes. Every time we do it, there'll probably be a few changes. Like, do you charge for them? Does everybody get, a couple free, or do you charge for every one?
Businesses pay it.
Well, what kind of businesses,
Right, do you charge
Get
different
25
for
or
commercial
get
as
one.
opposed to residents? All those decisions we've never really dealt with.
Been a free-for-all.
So we
Except for
should
the taxpayer.
give Brian that date, because he should be there too for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Great. Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming in tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Thanks a
night.
lot,
Have a
Brian.
good night.
Thank you.
Good fun.
Bye, Willie.
Thank you, Willie. Thanks, Willie.
See you, Willie.
Really, Rick?
I'm just thinking about stickers, it's probably gonna come up, Kim will probably bring it up, but I'm just gonna say it now for you to think about at the meeting. The concept of separate stickers for transfer station versus beach.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the conflict comes up that some kinds of businesses want 20 stickers so that their people can go to the beach, they don't care about the transfer station.
Right. Kim has had that, that is on the agenda already.
Great,
Kim's already trying to,
I'm gonna let
Wrestle
you,
with it.
I'm gonna let you wrestle with it
there's a
together.
couple of campgrounds that in particular.
Wedding venues, things like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
The devil's in the detail on this one.
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Moving on to the town administrator position discussion.
Okay, that's
That's you.
same one. Okay, so, you all know that, for lots of reasons, almost entirely personal reasons, I'm giving my notice. And my goal is to make it as smooth and happy a transition as possible, and I will stick around till whoever we hire is trained and ready to roll, and I assume that will be at least December. So that means that I get to, shepherd through the budget process and the tax rate setting process. And in this year in particular, I think it's important to have the consistency through at least the end of the year because of the reval, which will, which now I understand what it is after, being here for 2.5 years. So anyway, I am gonna ask you to indulge me. It seemed to me this was a moment where I could sing the praises of the amazing people I've had the opportunity to work with. So, can I just read this little thing?
Yeah.
So I'm asking for your forbearance. I'll just say it again. It seems to me there's never enough time to acknowledge the people for their hard work, so I thought I would do just that. And these are mostly about department heads. So to Richard Colcourt, about whom it is said multiple times, if I had an emergency, and I quote, I want him to be the first responder at my emergency. To Zach Remick, our emergency management director, who deals with surprisingly complex issues and who works hard to get it all right and is often one step ahead of FEMA, which I witnessed the other day. We had a big FEMA meeting. To our police chief, Dana Littlefield, who despite statewide recruiting shortages works hard every day to keep our town safe and deals with issues that take courage, patience, and stamina, and I'm guessing a strong sense of humor. We should all thank him for his tireless efforts on behalf of our community. To Richard Roberts, we all know we have the best roads in New Hampshire, not to mention the prettiest, and we know we can drive safely even if it's blizzarding out there. And what he and his team do and we know that he and his team will work around the clock if there is a need. To our rec director, Emily Verney, who has done such a great job of reviving the rec department after the pandemic and the recovery. Her communication skills and understanding of what the community needs has been a great boon to our town. To Brian Gillespie at the transfer station, our newest department head, his energy and enthusiasm are infectious, and I'm excited to see how the transfer station will transform over the coming years. To Kim Trammell, who has an extraordinary knowledge of the town and the complexities of the town clerk and tax collector's positions. They are very complicated, and she brings her many strengths to doing that job. To Rick Moreau, we all know what a gem he is, fixing, maintaining, and making every physical part of this town a better place, cleaner, safer, and prettier. We are so lucky to have him. And to Mary Cronin, our wonderful librarian who oversees such fantastic programming. And then, last but not least, the select board. What an honor it's been to work with this team who managed to share their different opinions respectfully and attentively with humor and grace, moving the town forward in a positive manner despite the need to make difficult decisions. This inspires me every day. I will miss working with you. And all of the many, many volunteers, the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, the Sewer Commission, the Traffic Safety Commission, the Cemetery Commission, the Library Trustees, the Capital Planning Committee, the Energy Committee, the Veterans Committee, the Zoning Board. All of these people volunteer. I will miss everybody. I love the sociability of it. But the good news for me is I'm going to stick around till the end of the year at least, I hope, depending on what you all decide. And but I just wanted to take a moment, since this is sort of a transition moment, to just share my gratitude and respect for everything that Team Tamworth does.
Thank you, it's very nice.
Well, I've been very lucky to be a part of this. And I will be a part of it for a while longer. So tonight, the task is to, you've all had the job description. We need to motion to approve it, but first I think there's a discussion about the pay rate. I gave you a spreadsheet. I pulled, I pulled data from the New Hampshire Municipal Associations. They have a whole thing on pay. And I pulled whatever towns were in our size range, our population range, and you'll see the bottom four on that sheet are sort of the first bunch are smaller than us. There's obviously a wide range. The range of these 10 or so towns that are in our population range, and there's many more towns, but these are the ones that were on the website, are 79,000 to 93,000. So not far from where I was at. I didn't take a raise the first year, which was the 8% year. And then on the 3% year, I did take the 3%, as did all employees, but I also took a hours cut. So on paper, my number was lower. So we're a little below the average pay range for this position. Anyway, I'll hand the discussion over to you all about what you want it to be posted at, or if there's a range. When I was hired, it was posted at 80,000, and that assumed that they were hiring somebody with experience. So obviously, I didn't get that amount, but so we should have a range so that.
Was there a range when, there was a range, wasn't there?
I thought it was 80.
I thought there,
Maybe it was a range.
I thought there was a range.
Why am I remembering 80, 82?
I think it would have been more broad than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might have been.
Maybe it was 70 to 80. I don't remember.
It's 75.
Pretty,
75 to 80 something, I can't remember.
I
But, you know,
Yeah.
your second year, you took a cut in hours.
Mhm.
Do you think the job,
I think that a new person
you know, new
would
person
have to be at 40 hours.
Yeah.
I will say that we have a great, person in the finance department who does her job very efficiently. And Michaela's really doing a terrific job. I mean, her skills and her speed that she gets through stuff is really great. So that makes a big difference to my
Yeah,
job, obviously.
But at the same time, you also, you don't have a municipal background, but your career, your career have, you've done an enormous amount with budgeting and with HR work and with collaboration with different administrative functions and collaboration with municipal. I'm just saying all this because one thing that we talked about when we hired you was the fact that, no, you hadn't done this work before, but the work that you had done for decades was brought this a lot of the same skill sets that this job requires. So I think that it wasn't just that, I think that somebody who's coming in with or without municipal experience who has a really strong background the way you did, especially around numbers, could maybe get away sooner with fewer hours. But I think that for the most part,
They may need
the
the time.
I think that
we're gonna
at
need.
least start.
Are
Do
we
you,
not with them to do 40 hours for some reason?
No.
No.
Okay. No.
do you have a,
No.
do you have a recommendation?
Right.
And then it sounds appropriate to
I'm just
ask, or
assuming
do you?
someone's gonna want 40 hours.
No,
Yeah, they,
No,
that's
okay,
true.
Thank you.
I think we'll see who applies.
Over 35.
Do we put a, well, no, a recommendation as far as the pay
Oh, I see what you're saying.
pay scale? Maybe that's not something to ask.
No, I
don't know.
might, let's see,
Just
I think
Taking everybody's brain.
no, I mean, I think if you know, the low is 79, the low average for the towns in our population size, and by the way, the bigger towns, it goes way up, you know, even just slightly bigger towns. So 79, and you know, I don't know that we need to go up to the high, because some of these highs are very high, like 104,000 is crazy, or lovely, depending on.
Do we know how, the only other factor I'm wondering is like how many years these people have been in this position?
I didn't know that.
Because that would probably,
Yeah.
Skew it. Yeah.
I mean, compared to like a new
Right.
new hire,
Right.
or like how much,
Yep.
obviously it's hard to,
They all have equivalent benefits to.
Yeah, that was a question I was gonna
Yeah.
ask, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 70 to 80 or 75 to 85. Do we do $10,000 range? Do we do $5,000 range?
I think
I think a wider range is.
it's
Yeah,
more
Because
useful.
depending on the people you get, and
Yeah.
you know, maybe you,
Yeah, I mean, what if you, I mean, I would, if I had taken, if I were full-time now, I'd be at 77, I think. I mean, I think 75 to 85 or 78 to 88 would.
I'd stick with 70, I'd be more comfortable with 75 to 85. You can always go up, but you can't go down once it's
Yeah.
posted,
Yeah.
you know?
That's true.
And be like, oh, we've got only candidates with 0 experience, you know?
and if there's a range, I mean, you could technically offer somebody either way, in either direction.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, you
Okay.
could, if you found,
We can make it
But I feel
wider
like
to
I
70 to 90.
I feel like this process happens too recently, unfortunately.
I know, I
And I am sorry about that.
No, it's, so I don't, does anybody have any opinion, thought
I
on
like
what?
the wide range opinion. We do that a lot in my other job.
Which wide range? We had 75 to 85 and then we had 70 to 90.
70 to 90.
Yeah, so you're saying wide range?
Yeah.
I
Because
like
it's really
that
good.
idea,
Yeah.
because then, I mean, depending on who you get and, you know, what experience level they have, I mean, somebody could be worth significantly more than the next person.
Absolutely.
Right, right.
Yep.
And if they come in with years of experience in this job, then they won't accept.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
less.
But they
Less
won't apply if,
They won't,
Right.
yeah.
yeah.
So it's good to have that option.
And there's a slight chance you get somebody who has never done it before, but they can convince us they can fill the holes.
Well,
And
I did.
that's the 70,000 person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 75.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with 70 to 90.
And
Yeah.
I, you know, and I think, I do think, well, when we get the applications, I can give more opinions about what skill sets were most useful, but certainly the budgeting side was important.
Particularly with the churn over here, having that
Yeah.
skill there,
Yep,
the keeper of knowledge.
Do we need a motion?
yes.
Yes.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we post the town administrator's position at a pay range of $70,000 to $90,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
And we said 75 to 90, right?
Nope.
70.
70 to
70.
90.
Oh, 70 to 90, okay.
In case we get some.
So, are we talking about the job description too?
I did, yeah, sure, I thought we just approved it. That was
Nope.
that
No,
not?
that was
just the
just,
pay
that
range.
was just the range,
Okay.
pay range.
Okay,
I have a couple of things that I would like tweak in this.
yeah, please,
I think like in general, I wouldn't take anything away.
yeah,
The one thing is, the work is sedentary, yes, but there have been times when you've had to like traipse through properties to,
that's true,
you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't lead with, I wouldn't say the work is sedentary. I would
Okay.
take that out and just say, you know,
Office work
there
or
can be like site walks, so people know
the
that.
ability to walk.
Yeah, I mean,
The ability to walk.
And you know what, I don't think you can even say, you could do the job in a wheelchair.
yeah,
Yeah.
But
So I
I
don't know
mean-
if I'd say that, but.
but they
true.
do need to know that that site
They need
walks,
to be
site
mobile.
visits, maybe you have to say the word visits instead of.
Mobility
Yeah.
is.
But site visits
Visitor.
can be part of the jobs, you know,
Okay,
several times a year. The other thing is, like, yes, the duties, these are all the things you do, this job summary, yes, this is all you do. I would somehow, and I cannot do this at 7 o'clock at night off the top of my head, but I would really more strongly emphasize the fiduciary work. Like, you are the numbers person for the town. I know Elaine's job is the financial person, but you do all of the budget management and oversight tied in with the assessing. You have to understand, if you don't have a strong grasp on numbers, we are gonna be falling short. And so somehow I think that's gotta be like the first 5 bullet points somehow.
okay, okay.
Like,
can
I
do
would
that.
lead with all that financial
Yeah.
stuff.
Under
Because
knowledge, skills, and abilities, I think. Not under duties, but I assume it's under that.
Well, I can put
It's-
budgeting and
it's-
duties, but, yeah.
Just move it to the top and beef it up a little.
And I'd say, like, just emphasize that this is a numbers heavy job, and like if you don't know how to use a spreadsheet,
Right.
you
Well,
know,
you're not
like
getting hired.
that is a learning curve that we do not wanna have to deal with.
No, you have to, yeah.
And I mean, I know how I look at job descriptions, if I'm looking for a job, and you, like, when it's 15 bullets, I'm glazing over at 8. So, you know, like, you look at it, you're like, oh, great, I can, like, play with cats, and it doesn't talk about, like, the,
There's a lot of
whatever.
bullets.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
I will oomph that up.
The only comment I have is select board, 2 words, capital B.
Thank you. Select board, 2 words, capital B, where do I have it?
It's all through.
All
all
over.
through it, yeah.
Okay. Ability to spell.
Spelling's
Not
already
that
done by
necessary.
Or,
That's way down on the bullet.
or delegate. Sub out the editing, yeah. You've got delegating in there, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need to vote to
Yeah.
approve that as amended?
Well,
Well,
Or we wait till the
hasn't been
amendment?
amended yet.
Wait, well, no, yeah, I mean, I'm
I'm
not gonna wait 2 weeks to post.
No.
I would be comfortable voting, because really the job description's fine.
Yeah.
It just needs that
No.
front loading of the money,
Yep.
Motion to approve it with
recommended,
Changes.
recommended,
somebody else make that motion.
yeah.
Edits.
I'll make a
Recommended.
motion to approve the job description with the recommended changes and sending the final copy out to everyone and then post it. And if anybody doesn't like it, you just say so when you get it, and then we'll meet at the next meeting and revise it.
Yeah.
So that's the opportunity to change it. if
Throw it
you-
out.
Unless somebody says, don't send it out.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
We just can't, you can't be revising it,
Yep.
you know,
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
you say yes?
Barry, yes, Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Did you second?
Yes.
Steve seconded, yeah. Steve is, Steve
Mr.
Schaefer is the
Second.
second.
Steve.
We're gonna start calling him.
Triple S.
Triple
Yes.
S. S cubed,
Yeah.
blockhead. That could be a nickname, like, that's how nicknames evolve.
There you go, right. There's another part of my life where S cubed was a
And
nickname.
so is that it on the administrator?
That's
Yeah.
great.
Alright, thank you.
Yeah.
but no thank you.
I just have to tell you a funny story. I'm not gonna say her name on record, but friends of ours have a daughter, and when she was little, she's like the funniest kid you ever met, sassy, funny. And she kind of got in trouble at, Henry and her brother played sports together, and she got in trouble because she was sassy or rude to somebody. And her mom's like, you need to go say sorry right now. She marches over, she stands, and she looks up at the press, she goes, sorry, not sorry. She walks away. Thank you, no thank you.
Sorry, not sorry. That's awesome. Yeah, what are you gonna do with her up to be a little spitfire?
Oh yeah, she is, she's great.
Okay, we've done the,
Yep.
yep,
And we've done the old business.
Administrator report.
okay.
Administrator report.
Well, okay, just don't let me forget when we finish this that we have to talk about the 5 o'clock start time for the winter.
Yep.
Okay, having said that, bank balance is $4,256,687. I have filed our estimated revenue report with the Department of Revenue. I signed that one, you all don't have to. You received it last night in an email, or actually this morning, sorry about that. And then the MS 535, which is the final financial report of the budget period ending 12/31/23, has also been filed. You have it in your signature file. They have a draft on the DRA, and you have it to sign. What's not on here is we have received our draft audit, and Elaine and I have read it, and it's all as it should be. And so now the audit company will send in basically what's called a management letter, and then I will share that with all of you, and you should all read it. The good news is the unassigned fund balance remains very strong, which is sort of a funny function of, when you budget with room for error, which there always is. But we had a $600,000 increase to the unassigned fund balance, which means maybe we could tighten up the budget a little bit. But that also means that we have a solid fund of about $2.5 million. So that's good news for decisions that you will have to make come fall, in regards to capital equipment or putting money towards reducing the taxes or whatever it is, so that is terrific. And it also, we are a town well-positioned in cash flow, which many towns aren't, so that's also good. And then finally, we had a meeting with FEMA. Richard Roberts was there, Zach was there, I was there, Chief Colcord was there, and then a slew of FEMA people, because they seem to move in large numbers. I mean, always. There's always at least a minimum of 8 of them. And we are going to be getting money from FEMA for the April, I think the 3rd storm. And it's hard to tell exactly how much it will be right now. I wish it had been the May storm the year before, because that one we really would have gotten a lot of money to help. But this one, I think we'll get somewhere between 25 and 40-ish kind of to help out, which is great. But FEMA it's sort of a surprisingly, that's kind of what you'd expect.
Yeah, although I was talking to Rich Colker today, and he thought the guys from FEMA were great.
They were great, even though they move in large packs. They really, really want to help us to get every penny that is rightfully due. And they want to make it as simple as possible, but it is really bureaucratic,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they were great. And Chief Colbert brought them all coffee and donuts. And
He's good at that, right?
yeah, he is. So that's now we're going to talk about start time for meetings for the winter.
Yeah.
Anybody have a view on that?
Well, so the next meeting
It's going to be at
is
5.
going to be at 5.
So,
and it's a matter of whether we continue.
But it was, yes, we moved it, we used to have it at 5, and then we moved it for the summer because long working days.
So,
I feel like we started at the end of October. It was like when it got dark, right?
time change, but
No,
no, that's,
it wasn't time change.
Does it matter to you, Emery?
No, I'm
really, Emery's the one it affects the most, it seems to me.
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, it's only going to be a couple meetings, and so next meeting I'm not here
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
And then when are we going back to every week?
Are we going back to
Hopefully we
every
made
week?
that decision.
Well, we did for the budgeting season last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was like for a chunk of.
so, yeah, we're gonna have to schedule a department head and we probably need to do
Yeah.
So
that.
after next meeting, the next one would be October 3rd, right? So, yeah.
Well, if we're gonna be doing budgeting, do we only have those department head and committee chairs coming in October, or does that spill into November? Is it really pretty much October?
And
We should be able to have
something to
a few at a time.
Something to think about too is if we're gonna be going through the hiring process of the new administrator, every week meetings might be
Right.
important.
Yeah. I hate to say it, cause I just hate a 6 o'clock meeting, but if October is the time when we're gonna, expect department heads to come in and committee people, and we're encouraging public participation in the budget process at these meetings, I think we should keep them at 6 for October
For
because of
October.
people getting out of work.
Okay.
I
and
think we can go
going-
to every week, starting
Okay.
on the 3rd, but I think it still has to stay at 6
Okay, so weekly
to encourage as much participation.
for October, starting at 6.
So, and not that this matters right now, and I will do my best to be on over Zoom, but the 31st of October, the 7th, of November, the 14th and the 21st, I think I'm not gonna be.
Whoa.
There's like 4
Wait,
in a
you're
row.
gone for a month?
Well, I'm here and back
Got
and
things,
forth, but
yeah,
I'm
okay.
pretty sure that like the 7th I might be here, but I'm pretty sure I'm leaving like that day again. So
Yeah.
I'm back and forth, and then we got Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I'll see you guys in a couple months, I guess.
Are we gonna have a select board meeting on Halloween?
No.
Because the village.
The only one that I wouldn't be able to maybe zoom in is like the 7th or 14th would be tough. Other than that, like the 31st definitely, and the
I mean, if we were to have a
21st.
select board meeting on the 31st because we needed to, maybe we could have it like in the morning or something. Do a weird,
Halloween. Okay.
Yeah.
So that would
Yeah.
Did we have a select board meeting last year on Halloween? No, it
No.
wouldn't have fallen
Wouldn't
on
have fallen,
Halloween.
yeah.
That was.
This, I had
Okay, so.
not scheduled it on that date, but that's when I thought we were every 2
Well, that
weeks.
could be. We could take if we're gonna go back to every week in October, we could take the 31st off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
we're gonna do them on both ends
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, and if something drastic changes, we could have,
we can find another time.
hopefully we're on the downside of the hiring process at that point.
Okay, so board agreed that we would have weekly meeting in October at
That's
6
2
PM,
months almost.
except for 10/31.
Yep.
No meeting. Okay, November? Are we
So
still-
November, do we still need to be meeting weekly? Are we still that much in the budget process? Oh, 5 PM, not 5 AM.
I think we.
Probably? I mean,
Well,
why
you're
don't
gonna
we?
have-
We can make
You're
that
gonna have-
decision
As we
in
go?
November.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're
So,
gonna have
but-
7, 14, and 21, and then 28 is Thanksgiving.
But let's switch to,
5?
let's switch to 5 o'clock in November,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
even if it's every week, doesn't
I
matter.
would keep it for every week. That's 3 meetings in November.
Yeah.
Because you're off
Okay, so
31st, then you have 3 in a row. then
7,
you're off.
14, and 21 at 5 PM.
And I won't be here for the 7th.
Okay, so you two won't be here for the 7th. Are you 3 here for the 7th?
What month are we in?
November.
November.
No, oh yeah, November.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I did this right.
So, are we going 5 PM October and November?
No.
No, just
No,
November.
Just November.
Yeah.
So we're going every week,
October,
October.
October, November.
Gotcha.
As of
And
right
then
now.
Until we might decide we're done with it sometime in
Oh,
November.
my aching head.
And then if we had off the 28th,
But
and the
we're
5th of
not
December.
having,
The 31st.
Halloween or Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so then after
I think we should
Thanksgiving,
meet on Thanksgiving.
after Thanksgiving,
We
Would
could
be-
each bring a,
the 5th, and then we could probably go back to every other week anyway.
Hopefully, yeah.
But we can I would keep it every week for October and
Okay,
November.
and,
Yeah.
okay, so are Richard, Leanne, and Carl here on the 7th of November?
I am.
I am.
Okay, so we still have a quorum, okay.
Wait, you're gone 31st through the 21st? You'll
Well-
be back the 28th?
of,
And then you're gone just the 7th?
Just the 7th.
Okay. Got it.
and a couple of those I should be able to
Oh, the 21st there isn't one.
zoom into.
Okay.
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'll be Pennsylvania and Indiana.
Okey doke. Well, That's the end of my report.
Okay.
Okay. That
So
was
now we're at
satisfying.
signature file.
Oh, sorry, I was spacing out. Ready for November. Moving on to the signature file. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for August 22nd, 2024.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a
Texting while
motion
driving.
I make a
about
motion
the
to approve the Department of Revenue MS 535 financial report of the budget, period ending December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the intent to cut for map 408, lot 65 and 66, access road, Washington Hill Road, as well as the intent to cut for map 211, lot 32 and lot 33, access road, Marshall Lane.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Where's Marsh Lane?
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. Marsh Lane is, I'm gonna draw a blank here.
It's in Tamworth.
We're doing great tonight.
Nope.
I mean, I can look it up after, I just figured somebody might know.
I do know, I just, yeah, okay, it's off of Route 16, behind Tice's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the revised report of cut and timber tax yield map 217 lot 46 of the amount of $4,363.65.
Second.
What, which way is that being revised? Are we giving them that money back, or?
It was revised because the timber person from DRA NOAA said there wasn't enough, if the information was incorrect, and he made them revise it, so.
Oh,
So that's the revision, but it is a timber yield tax report.
okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the timber yield tax cut for map 215 lot 41 in the amount of $4,986.80.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the payroll in the amount of $56,908.85.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $568,454.92.
Second.
You're gonna tell us even though Bruno's not here?
I will. I wasn't going to, but I will. School, 306,000. Gravel and crushing, 45,000. Loader, 165,000. That must be the new loader.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
there you have it.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Cash used to date, $6,934,580.19. Select board update.
Covered the transfer station. The only other thing I'll add is, if you recall, the highway department had an open position, someone left months ago. They've got, I believe, 6 applicants, and they hope to fill it soon.
Awesome.
Great.
Wow.
That's all I got.
I think, aside from going to the transfer station meeting, yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, the transfer station discussion was mine as well.
LRPC starts up again this month, so next week I'll have a first exec council meeting after a nice summer break, and then Monday the 20-something or other, 20-something or other, is the commissioners meeting, and I don't know where that is yet, but I'll let you know before we go. And planning board was last week. Interesting meeting. 2 guys came, developers from southern New Hampshire, to feel out the planning board to see if we were a friendly town for development. They were interested, or they're interested, they're looking for a place to do a 10 to 12 unit workforce housing development. And so we had a long conversation with them about what does it mean to them for us to be friendly. And
What does it mean to be a workforce housing unit? Affordable housing?
I guess that
well,
means.
workforce, it's its own definition.
That's
You can
the-
look it up. New
That's the
Hampshire's
phrase
got
in New Hampshire.
it's got a, it's a
Okay.
different, there are different tiers of affordability, and so workforce housing, it's like I do not have the percentages committed to memory.
And it's typically multi-unit dwellings, not
Okay.
Not
These are
individual.
see, and this is where the conversation was interesting, because these are individual Cape-style
Okay.
homes. So people would have their own house.
Mm-hmm.
But their idea of, and they understand we don't have town sewer and water, where they'd be
Mhm.
developing, unless they put it in Remick Field. They understand they'd have to put in the infrastructure, like they know what it takes, this is what they do.
Cool.
But it was like they hadn't looked at our subdivision regs yet. They didn't ostensibly, when asked, know that we didn't have zoning. And so, we pointed out that they were really talking about reduction in required lot size and things like that. And we're like, well, take a look at the regs and you can come back to us, because it already talks about cluster development and the reductions that are afforded, by the state through that. So who knows what will come of it. We need affordable housing around for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we told them we'd be friendly, but we have regulations that,
Yeah, we have less than most.
Can't
Yeah.
imagine they're gonna be two affordable Cape style houses. It sounds like a
I know.
Well,
spec house development to
yeah.
me.
Unless they drop them on with a crane.
Yeah.
well, it was, it was interesting too, because when we pointed out that we have subdivision regs and that we have lot size standards and, all these things that theoretically they would have known, they said, well, are you gonna push back on it if we're doing affordable housing for your community? And we're like,
yeah.
we can't push back on it. If you meet the regulations, you can build McMansions. Like, it's your land. If you meet the regs, you get to do what you want, right? And,
It's
they
surprising they'd show up and hadn't read the regs.
Yeah.
well,
That
that's what I'm
sounds a little
saying,
hinky to me.
yeah.
Were they more feeling out, do you think, that, like, to see if there would be possibility for acceptance to, like, if they came in and wanted to do, like, reduced lot sizes or something like that, were they?
So we make exceptions.
I think they were,
Yeah,
I think they did not ask this. I personally, I'm not speaking for the board, I definitely got the vibe that they were like, hey, we're gonna do this for your community, what are you gonna do for us so that we can get this deal done? They were very careful not to say that, so, but it was,
Yeah.
it was like 45 minutes of not saying that, So, interesting.
May not.
Could be great. If we had affordable housing, workforce housing, it would be great. We definitely need it, so. We showed them where the regs were, told them feel free to come back and talk again. Big excitement actually for a planning board meeting.
Update from me. I went to the CIP meeting last week and, not really a big question, but they were wondering and I could not answer it. What the preference was for the select board so when we recommend like stuff in the CIP, when the CIP makes the recommendation, we have priorities as well as, we have two different, priorities versus ratings. So it's like a number system that we, I can't remember which one comes first. I think it's priority and then rating. Do we have any preference whether we like having the double system, like prioritizing stuff and then rating it?
Did we do that last year?
Didn't even,
I don't remember. I don't
I don't remember this at all.
Maybe we didn't look close enough for it to matter, but they wanted to get our opinion, and I said that I personally think we should keep it the same. It makes sense to me how they do it.
Yeah,
They pretty much all wanted to keep it the same, but there was a couple people that were like, well, maybe we can just make this more simple, because there are some things with CIP that seems like we might slightly overcomplicate it a little bit.
Yeah.
They do a great job, they really
Yeah.
are into it, but sometimes we have long conversations about things that don't need to be long conversations, so.
So on the town administrator chat thing, there was a discussion about what the minimum threshold is, and ours is 5,000.
I did see this.
Yeah.
All the other towns, a few were at 10, but most started at 25, 50, or 75.
And I was amazed to hear that it was 5,000. That's
Yeah.
like buying paper for the copier.
Well,
There's-
almost, not quite.
It's a
It is.
very detailed oriented group,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they do
So
a great job.
there'd be a conversation if we wanted to change.
Maybe that
Well,
would
it's
be something I'll bring back to them,
Yeah.
saying that, we looked at this and, but I think they were attached to this.
I mean, many of the, yeah, I mean,
Maybe we just up it to,
25 or
or
20
what?
or 10.
I mean,
Yeah.
because like $5,000, unfortunately,
And
is
it's
a
an old
very
number.
small amount of money in
Yeah.
the big scheme of things.
Right, maybe 5 years ago, that might have bought you something, but. And then the other question I have is, do you know when I could see a draft? Because I feel like with all the numbers that come my way,
Mhm.
it would be better for me to see it before it was written in stone than
We
after.
were going to,
Although it's only a recommendation.
It's only a
we
recommendation.
aren't meeting again until pretty much a month, I mean, it's 3 weeks.
Because I need the numbers to start putting into the budget. Because those are the biggest impact. Our CIP numbers last year were big.
Yeah. Fire trucks cost.
And I don't know what's on it this year. I'm sort of out of the loop.
I can email Kathy and
That'd be great.
ask.
Thank you.
But I believe that we were gonna kinda like, so we had some stuff on our agenda that it was a long meeting. It was like 2.5 hours.
Oh.
And we didn't get through all, so finally, we kinda just were like, we'll deal with this next meeting.
Okay. It's one of the biggest impacts to the budget.
So I will ask her, and
Just
I'll get
for
back
a
to you,
draft.
and then,
If
yeah.
that's possible. I mean, I have the 2024
I don't know what the date is for
CIP,
next
which
week.
I can always go off that because it lists 2025 and make my best guess,
Must be like the end of this month.
yeah, okay.
2 or
If
3
it's the end of
weeks.
September,
I'll-
fine.
Yeah. It has to be, because we were end of
If
August.
if you met last week.
Yeah.
That makes
So-
sense.
Because it's
Okay.
usually the 3rd week, but maybe it's the 4th.
Email
I
her.
don't remember. Yeah, I
If I
will.
can get a copy, that'd be great.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll just use 2024's version.
It has changed.
Tweet. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay.
And I just thought of something that I don't remember if I reported on before, the first meeting of the Traffic Safety Committee
Oh, yeah.
occurred. I forget when that was, but it happened, they were all fired up.
Oh, great.
They have a chairman, they have the secretary. They're gonna meet I think it's the 3rd Monday of the month. They've got a schedule, probably meet in this room. And they're gonna first tackle the Page Hill Road issue, and then they may break up into a couple different groups and deal with a couple different things.
Who's chairing and who's taking notes?
Joe Coco, who I had never met before, is the chair, and the note taker,
Well,
I
Rich
forget.
Collins is the
Rich
secretary.
Collins, there you go.
Okay.
And then
great.
Linda Medeiros is gonna be checking the email that they get, and
Yep.
she's sort of communicator, I guess, not
Great.
sure her
Oh,
title.
that's fantastic news.
So they're
Yeah.
all,
They're into it, they came
Hit
in
the ground
yesterday, Rich and Linda were there, and they spent an hour talking. I like,
Yeah.
sure went back to work, because they were.
Remind me again who all's on the committee?
Sienna, yeah,
I'm looking around to remember who was there.
okay, do that, yeah,
Carrie Ann, the swim instructor.
Yeah?
yeah.
I forget who was sitting there. Linda, Rich Collins, Joe Coco, Brian
Forcier.
zoomed in.
Maybe
Yeah.
Sienna was sitting here.
I think Sienna was there, so I can't remember who was there.
So it's a good,
Linda?
Linda was over here.
Oh,
good,
So right now it's 6 people, so they have 1 open slot if somebody else shows up.
that's great.
yeah, it's a great group, it's really
Mhm.
terrific.
Thanks for going to check it out.
Sure.
Any other select board updates?
I'll miss the next meeting. Anyway.
Me too.
Bonnie, I'm
Feel bad.
smiling.
Moving on to public input. Is there any public input?
Hi there, this is Maureen.
Hi, Maureen.
I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of great department head reports tonight. I'm always very pleased and proud to hear from Emily, and really congratulate you all for hiring Brian. He seems to be great. I know I've encountered him at the transfer station. I think he zipped to my car door before I could even walk around and get my bag of trash out. So really great spirit and very good. And I can't skip the fact that I'm sorry that Keats is moving on to another chapter, but it's been wonderful to have her with us for 2.5 years. And I think I'm sure you'll find a very strong successor for her. They definitely have a path that's well paved for them, I think, because of the work that Keats has done. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Maureen.
Maureen.
Thank you. Is there any other public input?
Oh, I should say, since Maureen and Jim are here, Greg Hubbard stepped down from the planning board. He moved to Vermont, and Jim has been appointed, he was an alternate, has been appointed to fill the position until the next election. So thanks to Jim for stepping up. That was great.
So Jim
and
is
seamless.
an alternate?
He was an alternate, he was appointed as
Oh,
as
and
a
so now
seated
he's-
member until the next election.
Thanks, Jim.
Moving on to non-public, I make a motion to go to non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2A.
And there's two of them because we added a
Oh,
session.
and, so section 1 and non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2A, session 2. And we're going to non-public at
7:39.
7:39.
Good. You know the second? The second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We are now non-public at 7:39 p.m.
Where's your little furry thing that goes under that? Is it
It's in here.
Oh. I was missing it. Like a little marmot on the table. Want to unplug the owl?
Try to help you there when I can.
I just brought in towels and dishes.
He's a good kid.
7:58.
7:58.
7:58.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at 7:58 p.m.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. The minutes are not sealed. Motion to adjourn. Is it okay?
It's fine with me. That's all right with you?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but
He's,
You don't want to know how I feel about it?
we're trying to get them a car.
yeah.
Peach.
He's super sweet.